Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Real Talk again with Cari and I. We're so excited for you guys to join us each week as we talk about these different leadership topics. And today, Cari and I are excited to bring attention to a topic that Cari and I have found within our own business, but it's a topic that has come up again and again over the past couple of weeks for myself. And that's, what does it look like when you're pouring into the wrong person or the wrong teammate, the wrong partnership? Maybe you yourself are on the wrong team and you're just having like this lingering feeling of this is just not working out. But how long do we allow this to go on for? Maybe things will change. Maybe they'll get better. Their interview was great. They are really skilled, but I just am not feeling this. So how do you identify that and how can you avoid these mistakes? So, Cari, do you want to add anything before I jump in?
Yeah, I think this is just interesting. And I put this in the title. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make that they don't realize they're making in business, because there's all of these excuses and reasons that we have to not necessarily have a fierce conversation, to allow ourselves to realize the truth. It's much easier to stay in denial and ignore it, because it does maybe bring some more work. It might show you that you didn't, make a good choice or the right choice. And so again, that's our ego, kind of saying, oh, you're overreacting. What will it look like if you just brought these people on, or this person on, or this teammate? Or maybe it's somebody that's a big producer, like really successful in your organization, but you just know it's not the right fit. People, I just think that people don't realize the dangers of hanging on to a relationship or a partnership or a person in your organization that you shouldn't. And we'll talk about what some of the ramifications of that are. But it's honestly probably, Haley, one of the things that people do that they don't realize that they're doing. So hopefully this brings some insight to people, or somebody might be out there that has an aha, like, oh, I've been probably holding on to this too long too.
Right. So the first tip that I want to present is to simply take your time. Don't rush into a partnership or hiring an employee, or even if you're trying to work with a new contractor or a new client. It doesn't matter. Take your time. A lot of times as business owners, we realize very early on, okay, we need leverage. We need to hire somebody because there's a pain point. We're procrastinating doing something. We're feeling overwhelmed. So we know that there is a desire and a need to hire somebody, but we cannot just rush into anything. Do your due diligence and take your time before you make the leap into a partnership. A partnership should be something that is long-term. Any relationship that you're getting into in business should be something that you're looking at long-term. And when you're hiring somebody, they should have the same values and the same mission that you do. So definitely look for that. Anything else that you'd add to that, Cari?
No, just a good reminder that it should, we should not be looking for people to be in our world when we are in a place of pain, because we will rush into it. So oftentimes we wait until we have to, because we can't handle the workload or whatever anymore. And I would just encourage you to think about that a few steps in advance. It's a little bit scary to bring on somebody and have that expense before you think you need it. But I promise you, if they're the right person, they're going to help you. And if you hold yourself accountable, they're going to help you to make sure that you do build that income to the place where you can pay them. And that's a really important thing, but that isn't necessarily natural. Most people don't do it early. I've always done it early. And it's a little scary, but it's almost always worked out for me that way.
Yeah. And I would say here too, get second opinions. So if you already have a team, you have an assistant, or you have a director of operations, or somebody that's helping you as the leader, leverage them, ask them their advice. In Fierce Inc., we call this a beach ball conversation. And really what that means is that you're encompassing everybody in your team and you're asking them for their perspective, because the more perspectives that we have, the better decision that we can make. Because Cari, we're only going to see what we see around us. We're not always seeing the whole picture. So if you can bring more people into the conversation and just let them know, hey, this is what I'm looking, or this is the issue that I'm struggling with. What is your opinion here? How would you make this decision? Doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody. It just means that you're getting a differing perspective, which is what we need in business. We're not always the absolute, Cari.
Shoot.
Darn it. Okay. So then the next tip I would give is if you have already partnered with somebody and you realize that the relationship is not going well, that your intuition is just telling you this is not working out. Don't let a bad relationship linger. Okay. Once you realize that the relationship is not a good fit, don't wait around to see if it gets better. Believe people when they show you who they are. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, that's the truth, right? I mean, here's the thing. What are the ramifications of that? And I have coached so many people through this. I've done it myself because it's just easier once you've got somebody up and running and trained and making you money. It's just plain easier to let them stay. We will always, as human beings, naturally take the path of least resistance, but that usually is not the right path. So we've got to get ourselves into a mindset that things are not going to be easy. Typically, the right choice isn't always easy. Most of the time, it isn't easy. So the ramifications, the biggest ramification is it drains your energy, it drains your focus, it drains your ability to lead people at a high level. It really does change the way you show up. Whether you think it bothers you or not, it does. And it does affect you energetically, which will then leak into all parts of your business. So you think you're making money because you're letting that person stay because they're doing well financially, let's just say, but you're not taking into account what you're losing in income just simply because of the changes in you as a leader, which impact and affect the entire organization. But probably the biggest one is what happens to all the other people in the organization that you aren't really paying as much attention to, that you aren't as positive for, that you aren't as energetic and focused for. So you're actually detrimenting the masses to hang on to one just simply because your ego doesn't want you to let that person go, because what does that look like? Most people don't let people go because, well, what does that look like? How does that reflect on me as a leader if I brought somebody in and I have to let them go? It's not about you. Think about all the people in your entire organization. Those are the people that you should be thinking about. And if you actually thought about them, you would know that this is the decision that you have to make and you have to make it soon. But most of us don't think of it that way.
Yes, I do also want to point out, it's not always that the person might be making a mistake or doing something wrong. It could simply be the energy that they're bringing. If this person is causing a lot of drama in your organization, if they are draining you or people in your company or on your team, they need to go. That is a toxin. It's like a venom that is just spewing out and it's like attaching themselves to everybody. That in and of itself can cause so much more trauma and backlash and resentment, a loss of confidence in you as a leader,
and loss of income.
100%. So, like I said, if you already feel like the relationship is not working out, do something about it now. Stop waiting, because the only thing that's going to change is that it's going to continue to get worse.
Yeah. And last but not least, think of the other person, because they might not want to change either, because they're in the same boat as you and they don't want it to link. They don't want to make the change because letting it linger is easier than making the change. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling that, they probably are too, and it's not the best position for them. They probably aren't flourishing and they could probably go somewhere else and be a better version of themselves. Also, remember, it's always two ways. There's nothing right or wrong, good or bad. It's just about the fit. And that, that really is important. But I think, people stay in personal relationships, business relationships, in partnership with clients that literally are just a horrible fit for them. And they just have all of these reasons and excuses, but they don't slow down enough to realize what the true ramifications, not only for themselves, but the people around them, and obviously the other person as well. And that's just, again, moving more into a conscious decision-making place versus staying in this space of just kind of subconscious thought patterns, which is, it'll change, it'll get better. I'm overthinking it. What will people think of me if I, whatever these stories are. At some point, you've got to get over those stories in your head, and you've got to get into making actual conscious decisions about your life and your business. And that isn't always easy. In fact, most of the time it's not.
Yeah. So the very last tip that I will give today is communication. And this is really twofold. The most important aspect, I think, as a leader is your communication, setting the expectations with your employees, your teammates, and yourself, and ensuring that everybody's role is clearly defined. That also means that when you are giving your director of operations or your teammates or your director of sales, when you're giving them, when you're setting the expectation with them and you're talking about the goal of whatever the end goal will be, it is your job as the leader to communicate that effectively. If people are coming to you and they're asking for clarification over and over and over, and you're getting frustrated because they're asking you so many questions, don't look at them. It is a time for you to self-reflect and ask yourself, how are you communicating? A lot of issues can be prevented from just clear communication and define roles and responsibilities.
Yeah. And when you make that clarity possible, not only for yourself, but for the other person, some of that misalignment is going to become very obvious, and people may self-select that this isn't for me. Sometimes it's just like people don't know, to your point. And so now we're just kind of lingering here, and we don't know why it's not clear to us, should we be in business or not? It's because there's just not clarity in general. I think communication is a big one, and it's probably a skill that leaders can really improve upon and choose to improve upon. So that should be maybe a next topic, Haley, because just the different cadences of communication ideas, communication styles. I think that there'd be some good conversation around that. So let's bring that next time.
Yeah, let's do that next time. So as always, we appreciate you guys, and we hope that this was helpful. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Real Talk with Cari and Haley, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.